So you've had the opportunity now to look at the words. Let's go over them. Okay. Let's look at this one right here, encrusted. Encrusted. Mason, yes.
Doesn't it mean like, alright, you have something and then it gets kind of crusty?
That's not far off. That's not far off.
Like,
Hallie, let's build on that.
I
Encrusted.
think it's when something, well, I have a different answer. When like, you have something that's really old and then you can like carve your name into it.
Well, encrusted is like if your eyes become encrusted, like with crust, like, or you might get dirt caked if there's a lot of dirt and you're sweating. It might.
yeah.
Ooh, I hate
Okay. Okay. Infection. Let's see. Austin, what is infection?
It's like if you have a bump on your leg, you scratch it so much you might have an infection on it.
Okay, so it becomes infected.
I had one
For what one?
for
Oh, for another one.
yeah, a different
So
one.
infection, yeah, it becomes really dirty, pussy, nasty. It becomes infected. It becomes very dangerous, actually. If you get an infection, that's like a bacteria that's building up inside
Like
of
if
you.
you get a cut,
and then you have
that's
Okay.
not like most
Class, if we want to answer a question, raise your hand. Jay Sean.
That's like if you get a cut and then like you're cutting lemons and then lemon juice gets inside, it can get infected.
Okay. Well, I think we have a good idea what infection is. What about bustling? Bustling. Mason?
I think it might be like when I was in the bushes, I made them bustling or
Not quite. That'd be like, yeah, rustling around. Bustling.
Isn't it like when, hold on.
Think about it for a second. Let me pull it up. Let's look and see. Let's pull it up here. Any ideas yet? I'm looking it up because I want the exact definition for it to give you a really good idea, and it's even kind of escaped me a little bit. So let's look at the dictionary. Okay, yes. Okay, so bustling would be, let me give you an example in a sentence. I was bustling around in the kitchen today as I was cooking breakfast. Jay Sean.
messing around.
Not messing around. Think about this. I'm in the kitchen. Come over here. I gotta hurry. I gotta come over here. All this done. Now I'm coming back over here.
Oh, you're like
Raise your hand. Savannah.
working.
Working what? Working slow. Working fast. Hurrying around. Bustling. Moving around. Let's look at strangled. Strangled. Oh, now everybody knows this one. Drew, what's strangled?
It's like when you cut off the air supply to somebody like this.
Okay, that would be one. Strangled, yes.
Choking.
Choking. Okay.
You
Mason.
were like strangled in a rope.
Okay. Well, you might be tangled in a rope.
Yeah.
Why did you like?
You might even use the word strangling as the air was so dirty and thick it felt like it was strangling me.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at amber. Zach.
I was twisting the stick so much on the wood that I got an amber to light the fire.
Okay, amber. Almost. Amber could be a couple different things here. I'm glad you brought that. Let's build upon what he just said. He was rubbing the sticks together so hard that it made an amber to start the fire, yes.
Another one is like, I think there's like some type of crystal or gem called amber.
Okay, a color. Maybe there's such a glow from a fire that it has given off an amber glow. Or ambers are the small glowing pieces of wood that aren't on fire, but they're so hot that they're glowing. That would be like an amber also. Not the flames itself, but you ever seen wood or charcoal when it's been burning for so long that it looks red and it's glowing?
Oh yeah, and then they go up into the air.
Okay, let's raise our hands, please. Austin, yes.
Like someone's missing in its neighbor alert.
Well, that would be a different one, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about an Amber Alert during the 1930s. They didn't have the Amber Alerts then. They had other things, but not that. Contagious. What is contagious, Ethan?
It's like you're exposed to like a
You are, okay, so use it in a sentence for me. I'm pretty sure you're on the right track. You want some more time to think about it? Okay. Owen.
It's like when a person gets contagious from like a disease.
Okay, and that's I think what you meant, right?
Oh, I know.
That's what Ethan meant. Yes, contagious. You get the flu. Right now, everybody's getting the flu. There are certain points during the flu you are contagious, meaning you can give it. It can infect other people very easily. Jay Sean.
Like Ebola.
Ebola is very contagious also. Very good. Good job, Drew.
like the water bucket challenge.
Oh, now that's a different kind of contagious. He is correct though. The water bucket challenge, and I was a part of that this summer. The water bucket challenge was contagious in a different way, and it was everybody wanted to do it. It was a lot of fun, so it became contagious. Let's see, exhausted. I think everybody should probably know this one, Savannah.
Like tired.
Very tired, worn out, yes. I was exhausted from the day because I had so many things to do and I didn't even have time to sit down or grab a bite to eat. Julian.
Isn't it kind of like groggly?
Like what?
Groggly?
Yeah, groggly, yeah. A little bit. Groggly's more you're not quite awake, you're still woozy. Exhausted means the marathon. You guys are in the marathon. Think of the times if you ran as hard as you could around this block 2 times, by the end of that, some of you might be exhausted by the time. Take a little bit to get your breath back. Zach.
I was exhausted after I ran after my dog that got out.
Okay.
I remember that.
Okay. Remember, if somebody else is talking, we are not. Let's be respectful. Our life skills, being respectful. Okay, spasm. Anybody want to take a stab at it? I've actually had spasms before, and they are not fun. Julian?
When you're kind of like rolling around.
No, that would be, I think maybe you're
Wait,
thinking
can you
of
say it again?
seizure possibly.
Can you say it again?
Spasm, Austin.
Like a cramp?
It is very similar to a cramp. Very similar, Drew.
It's like when you can't control your movements.
Since I've had back issues since I was in high school, there are times in my career where my back has spasmed on me, and what happens is your muscles involuntarily, so on their own, just start to contract, and it'll make you, it'll drop you to your knees. Muscle spasms is when your muscles contract on their own and you don't have control
That
over it.
happened to me today.
Okay. All right, last one then. Atrocious. The classroom that I was in today was just atrocious.
That's
Owen.
wild.
Okay, you could use wild. Jay Sean,
Perfect.
go the opposite way of that, Savannah.
Bored.
Not quite.
Like crazy and you were running around.
Bad. Bad.
Horrible.
Atrocious. Okay?
Rowdy.
Okay.
Rowdy?
Class, again, what's the expectation? If you want to answer, what do you have to do? Raise your hand. Okay? Keep that in mind, please. Okay, so we went through our words. Atrocious, spasm, amber, exhausted, contagious, strangled, bustling, infection, and encrusted. All those words together. In your journal, I want you to predict what you think this chapter is about.
It's all those words?
So we could say that was just an atrocious storm. My muscles were spasming so much from work I couldn't stand it. I was so exhausted from all the work today, I had to go to sleep early. The disease that was going around was very contagious. This is a prediction, so there is no right or wrong. Write down in your journal, take 3 or 4 sentences, look at the words again, just glance at them, and predict. What do you think the plums chapter is going to be about? In 3 or 4 sentences, write down your thoughts. What do you think the plums chapter is going to be about based on our vocabulary words? Yes?
When I was reading ahead, I already read this chapter.
Okay, that's fine, but go ahead and make your prediction, okay?
Pretend you
Close,
didn't
but
read
it's
it.
not actually.
There should not be talking during this. Your journal should be out, and you should be writing it down. You need to get your journal out and start writing. It should take you 3 or 4 sentences
Was he using all the words?
to do this. What do you mean use another word?
No, using all of them.
You don't have to use the words in the sentence. I want you to, so if I look at all the words and I know what the definitions are, I'm going to make a prediction on what I think this chapter might be about. Based on the words that I have. So I see exhausted, strangled, contagious, infection. I might think it's about people getting sick. I might think it's about people working hard. Write 3 or 4 sentences. Okay? Okay.
Hi, I'm Dave Robinette. After reviewing my lesson, first off, I apologize because the view of the kids, it was very difficult to do it in that classroom. They have round tables, and to set them where they usually sat, to position them, it was almost impossible to set them to where you wouldn't be able to easily identify them. I do know that during the video you could see a hand or two on occasion going up, and that's really was the main focus of the behavior of the classroom. Was I was asking a lot of questions. If you could hear, you should have heard we were going over our vocabulary words over the Esperanza book that we were doing, and they needed to raise their hand to be able to respond, and I referred to that a couple times, that they started to get a little chatty and wanted to blurt out. And so I would reiterate the expectations of what they needed to do during the class to answer a question. To discuss how I plan for any anticipated behavior issues in this lesson was knowing the group that I'm with. I know that they're good kids, they can be chatty. So going into it, I knew that I needed to make sure that they raised their hand to answer a question, and as soon as they didn't, I knew I needed to get on it immediately, otherwise it would get out of control very quickly. So by not acknowledging those who weren't raising their hands and letting them know that you need to raise your hand to answer a question, or what are the expectations to answer a question, that kind of helps going into the lesson, knowing that and being able to keep the behaviors under control. I really didn't have any challenges that arose. The couple were when they started to get a little chatty and excited and wanting to answer the question. I just had to make sure that I just need to make sure I addressed it as soon as possible and as soon as it happened. And I believe that it worked out for the most part. They still got a little chatty a couple more times, but overall I think they did a really good job. To discuss how I'll change my approach in future lessons, I didn't really like how I shushed them like that. I think I probably should have done something different there. maybe raise a hand, high five up in the air, to get their attention. They're fifth graders, so looking back on that, that probably is something that I don't want to do anymore. So yeah, I'm going to do more of a attention getter with a high five, hand in the air, and then go from there. Other than that, though, overall, I believe that the lesson went very well. I believe that their behaviors were very good. I know you couldn't see them actually there, but they were sitting there. They were doing what they were asked to do. Other than getting a little excited about answering the questions and answering the vocabulary word questions, I think I only needed 3 times to tell them again what the expectation was and what they needed to do during the class. So again, I think I need to improve definitely on how I get their attention as far as not shushing them but hand up. I think I did a pretty good job of getting on it pretty quickly, and by getting on it quicker like I was, then that will lead to less problems later on. In fact, it'll become less and less to the point to where hopefully I won't have to do it near as much. It'll just already be one of those things that they just automatically know and do with just the occasional reminder. Okay, thank you, and bye.